Hey, this is Genevieve Rossi, and you're listening to Without Your Head.
All right, and we're back here once again at the Station of Decapitation Without Your Head. And I'm still Nasty Neil.
And I remain Terrible Troy.
And we're joined by Nick Hunt. This has been months or maybe a year in the making. He is here on the show. Pleasure to have you on the program.
Welcome.
Thank you guys so much for having me on. It's a pleasure.
So we got a lot of stuff in the works here. You just announced that The Dark Heart of Jason Voorhees, the making of the Final Friday, which it sounds very interesting. I assume that's a documentary about the making of Jason Goes to Hell?
Yes, it's going to be a 25th anniversary retrospective full-length feature documentary on the Final Friday.
What is it about the Final Friday that interests you?
Well, Jason Goes to Hell has always been really, the dark horse of the franchise. And, a lot of people would argue it's part 5. But, I seem to argue it's Jason Goes to Hell. I feel like there's a lot more controversy. There's a lot more interest. And there's a lot more talk in general about it. And I think it was pretty evident once I announced the documentary when it went all over the place that it surely does still get people talking, and a movie like that takes balls, quite honestly, to make, and a lot of people don't know a lot of the behind the scenes stories of why it came out the way it was. And I'm hoping to sort of open the eyes of the fans. I always tell people when met with criticism that you can hate the movie and love the documentary. That's the great thing about it. It's made for the fans. It's made by the fans. And, that's what it is.
That's a good point, though, because I've watched documentaries about movies that I'm not necessarily a fan of, and I've quite enjoyed the documentary. Or, some of those ones where it's like a documentary about the whole franchise of Nightmare on Elm Street or something. Weird. So what I was just saying was I've watched documentaries about movies that I might not be a fan of, but I dug the movie. Are you a fan of the Final Friday of Jason Goes to Hell?
Oh yeah, I'm a massive fan. I think it's the kills are great. The cast, between Richard Gant and John LeMay, Stephen Williams, Kane Hodder. Jennifer Grey. The cast just is exorbitant. Not to mention just the set design, and I feel like there were a lot of great ideas in it. And it's a very interesting animal of a movie, and that's what I hope to sort of show people. And hopefully they'll appreciate it.
It's definitely one of the most different of all the Friday the 13th movies.
Yes.
I remember I went to see it in the theater, I remember, with my friend Joey at the time. And I will admit, Joey and I were laughing during the movie. And there was one other guy in the theater. It was just the three of us. And at the end of the movie, he got up and he just seemed pissed and stormed out that we were laughing. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So he'll probably be really into this documentary.
Oh, yeah, you can't please everybody, and that's why I try and tell people with this documentary, you don't have to. It's not a requirement. I'm simply showing love to this movie that is turning 25 and showing love to the awesome cast and crew that worked on it, and just trying and then hope. Go ahead. Sorry.
When I watched a documentary about the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, part 2 is not really my favorite. I really don't like that one very good. But I thought it was the best part of the documentary. With Clu Gulager and Mark Patton and everybody. So, like I said, it doesn't. Oh, yeah. You don't have to necessarily be into that, into the film to be into the documentary. But if you are, then it's a totally different thing.
Oh yeah, and it can only help if you're into the movie as well. And the eventual goal of the documentary is at the end of the day to reinvigorate interest in the Friday the 13th and Jason franchises overall, and to hopefully get an unrated director's cut of Jason Goes to Hell out there.
weird to think that there
on
is
Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy because a lot of people, when they go to buy the franchise in a box set, they get disappointed when Jason X and Jason Goes to Hell doesn't come with it.
Mm-hmm. So when did the idea come about to make a documentary about it? Like, how long? I know you just announced it, but how long has it been in the works?
Well, I had been talking to Adam Marcus, the director and writer of the original film, for the better part of a year. And me and him had grown reasonably close. And I had always told him that, I really wanted to jump on something with him. And when I heard about Jason Goes to Hell turning 25, it sparked something in me. And at the end of the day, I told myself I want to do something for him because I feel as though that Adam was given a really bad rap, and that he was really sort of ostracized for this movie. And a lot of people wouldn't believe some of the stuff and some of the backlash that he did receive over it. And, so I reached out to him and I told him, I have this idea. I want to do basically a love letter to, your first movie, as a tool, to help teach young filmmakers, and dually as something to really show love to you and to the cast and the crew, and just do something that's really pleasing for you guys. And ever since that, he loved the idea, and there's not a single part of the process that I don't go through without him. And, it means the world to be able to have his good grace and to have his blessing to do this. It just makes it all the more better because I told myself that I would not do this without him, and I wouldn't do this without his blessing in the least.
So, like, how far along is this? Is this just in the thought process at the moment? Have you filmed it?
Well, right now we are in the middle of tracking down all of the cast and crew from the original 93 film. And we do have a number of the original cast and crew from the film that is on board. I'm not going to reveal who just yet, because, got to adhere to the bigger bosses. But I will say that everybody will love the people that are going to be coming back to do interviews for this thing. And we hope the very beginning of the second quarter of the year to be over on the West Coast shooting this. And we hope by the end of the year to have a cut and dry product for the fans, so we could adhere to the 25th anniversary itself.
Very cool. 25 years. Wow. I remember, like I said, I saw it in the theater. Makes me pretty old now that I think about it.
I know, and you don't think about it. You see all these posts, that daily flood Facebook. Did you know that this came out 39 years ago? Well, no, I didn't. But thank you so much for making me realize that.
Would you pick Friday the 13th as your favorite favorite horror franchise?
Oh yeah. I would say overall, as a franchise goes, Friday the 13th is up there. It's one of the only franchise villains that I have tattooed on me, so that says something.
Okay.
Yeah. And I mean, it's always been so versatile. There's always been keeping on your toes aspect of the Friday the 13th franchise. And I've always been an advocate for it. If it was Jason versus the Golden Girls, I would be there. If it was Jason takes over Disneyland, I would be there. It's just an overall love for the franchise. And despite what a lot of people think, I feel like there's still a lot of meat in it. And I feel like it's in one way, shape, or form, once this whole legal mess is done with the rights, I feel like we eventually will see something. It probably won't be right away, to a lot of people's dismay, but I mean, we've survived this long, going the longest period without a Friday the 13th movie. So, I mean, what's going to be a little bit more time?
Yeah. Have you played, do you play the video game, the one online?
Oh, no, I want to desperately. I am definitely planning on getting it here soon, because it's something that is, I mean, it's a horror fan's dream from what I hear.
Yeah, people love it. I'm not a big video game guy. I used to be back in the day, but people really love the game. It does look cool how you can either play Jason or the camp guys, and either try to avoid Jason or kill the people. So sounds like a good time.
Oh, I know. And then you have all these with the custom Jasons that were made for it, and
Right.
that Kane Hodder's actually going to be doing photo ops at one of the conventions soon in those costumes.
That's pretty wild. Yeah, I think is it Mad Monster, I think. But yeah, that's pretty wild.
Yeah, I think so. And that's just, I mean, because I don't know I don't know how many of the listeners know about Kane and his relationship with the makeup chair, but he is not always that enthused about doing it. So the fact that he is doing it again is pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. And so tell us about Safe Place. Have you begun filming on it yet?
I am going to be filming on it here probably within the next month. It's going to be coming really, really soon, a lot sooner than people think. And that's a question that I've been asked easily 700 times over the past couple months. And I understand, people are wanting to know what's going on with it. And, it's just, it's a matter of the big business, There's people that are over my head that make the decisions, and we wanted to be in front of the cameras a lot sooner than we are, but we're going to get it done, because I promised it to the fans, and we've metamorphosized from this small little $20,000 picture to almost $250,000 picture, with worldwide distribution before day one of filming, and we never thought any of that would happen. And, we're just ready to put it into action.
How does that come about? How do you get distribution, worldwide distribution and stuff before you actually make the movie? I'm going to answer your question very bluntly. I don't know. The expression comes to mind, a guy's only as good as the team that backs him. And it really is the case here. I had an idea, just a simple idea, and enough people think that it's a good enough idea that they wanted to help me execute it, and it's gotten in front of the right people. And, it's turned into this powerhouse, and the reception and the love that it's gotten since the beginning, the people that have stuck by it and that have, been by through all the trials and tribulations that have come with it, it means the world to finally be able to get this out to people. So what is the basic idea of the movie without giving too much away? Well, Safe Place is about 6 students that happen to attend a party to celebrate their friend's successful art show opening. Their presence at the party happens to trigger memories of a traumatic event in the host's past, and he resolves to positively impact the lives by ending them. You got a lot of cool people involved. Bill Oberst. Yeah. And, oh man, Bill's incredible to have. Everybody on the picture is incredible to have. I've been praised a time or two because of the casting, because I've just created this indie powerhouse cast of all these people from all these prominent indie pictures, and it's people that I feel deserve to be in some different roles, into some more dramatic roles and stuff that really plays off their strengths and the things that they do best. And I think we have an amazing cast that is really going to take this thing over the hill. What kind of movie is it, tone-wise? Is it, obviously a horror movie, but is it a more serious horror movie? Is it comedic? Well, it's a very dark slasher. It deals with a lot of emotional issues. It deals with a lot of trickery in the eyes of the viewer. I strive to make something that
plays off the viewer's emotions as to whether or not, you're feeling sympathy for the character in front of you or you're feeling hate for the character in front of you. It deals in a lot of deep, dark places, and that's something that I really wanted to make sure was there and that was present. Because it deals with trauma and the aftermath of trauma and how people deal with trauma. And I mean, I went to some dark places, and I'm having the actors go to some really dark places to try and achieve something that's really, truly emotional and powerful. Because that's really sort of what you have vacant in the slasher genre. I've said it on multiple shows where, you generally see the same type of characters. You generally see the same type of plot points, and you see the same type of pitfalls that the cast and the characters go through. But, we're evolving as a society, and we're evolving as viewers, and we're not necessarily wanting to see the same thing anymore. And so I wanted to create people that were fighters, and people that had souls to them, and people that weren't displaceable, people that you cared about. People that if they were put in jeopardy, you actually gave a shit, and people that at the end of the day, they could die, but you don't know immediately going into it that they're going to die. I have strong, independent female characters that are impressionable and are fighters. I don't have any ditzy, I don't have any ditzy women. That are, falling all over everything and making terrible decisions. I don't have the classic jock. I don't have those stereotypes in the movie. I have characters that you may believe that you've seen before, but then I'm going to throw curveballs into the mix to where you're not going to know where the story is going.
I always think that's important in a movie if you care about the characters, because otherwise, you might see some cool kills, and that's fun and all, but it doesn't really mean a lot unless you care about the people that are something's happening to.
Oh yeah, that's why I just, you have to care, and you have to almost be scared for these people to get knocked off when and if they do get knocked off.
So, what kind of horror movies? Well, first of all, actually, how long did you have the idea for Safe Place in your head? Like, is it something that you wanted to make for a long time?
Oh yeah, Safe Place was an idea that was in my head for the better part of a decade, and it had gone through different inceptions to where it was originally a very basic slasher idea. And then it sort of molded over time to where I wanted to make something more prominent, and I wanted to make something more important. And I wanted to have something that had social commentary to it, that wasn't just your everyday normal slasher. Because, truth be told, those get made every day. And, some of them are great, some of them are not great. But to establish a difference is to do something wild. And, I reached out to my first set of writers to create, and mold this into a really good screenplay. And it was just too hokey. It wasn't hokey. It was too cliche. It was too much like a stereotypical run-of-the-mill slasher movie. And then I had another set of writers tackle it. And it came off as more of an Archie comic. And it was too condensed, and it was too subtle. And so I knew that I needed to find something that was a median in the middle. And I had our amazing star, Gregory Blair, who plays Chris Craven, actually tackled doing a final rewrite on the script. And what he did just completely blew it out of the park. And now we have just this amazing script in front of it. And, the reception has been crazy.
Very cool. So, you said in a few months you hope to start working on it.
Oh yeah, it's a matter of, we're ready. We're very ready. We're just waiting to get the call. Yeah. We're waiting to get called up to the big leagues.
What's what's been like harder than you expected? When you went in to make a film.
Well, I'll tell you, it's probably the money part and probably the distribution part, and then it's also it's keeping up with the fans and keeping up with being able to promote something for almost 2.5 years and still keep people invested and interested and asking you to come on shows and wanting to do interviews and wanting to do articles on you. It's being able to maintain that when you don't have a lot to show, it's being able to keep that public face and that public image in the midst of problems, and this production has had its share of problems in the past, and we've recovered really nicely. We have changed several times, and it's really taken the team that we have right now backing us to be able to, finally bring it out to the public. The financial struggles are bad. It's been rough, because a lot of people don't know that I don't have a day job, that this is my job, that I put absolutely everything I have into all of my projects and into promoting people and into, doing odd jobs for people. I have genuine love and respect for this business, even with all of its pitfalls. And, the humps are great, but the payoffs are even greater.
Now, I know you have a teaser trailer that was done by Sophia and Michael. When was that made? And how happy were you with that?
That was made at the end of last year, and with the lovely star of Safe Place, Ashley Mary Nunez. And that's just, it's the quintessential teaser. A lot of people, I've gotten criticism with, it's too short or it's too basic, but that's really what you want in a teaser. You don't want to give the whole movie away. And, you want to do something that you want to, it's like staring at the sun. You want to look and then get out, and any more really damages you and damages the product. And, we're up to, I think, 30,000 views on various platforms all over, social media and various websites and YouTube. And I never would have thought, and then we got nominated by the Dead of Night Film Festival in the UK for Best Trailer last year. And it's just, it's crazy, it's crazy.
How did you get involved with Michael Epstein and Sophia Caccioli?
Well, I ended up speaking with Michael really early on in the process for Safe Place, in coming on in a creative capacity. And he was sort of almost a mentor for me. He was somebody that, if I was about to make a terrible business move, he would tell me to steer away from it. If I was about to do something good, he would praise me for it. And, I always loved the style that him and Sophia could cohesively put together. And so when it came time for me to say, hey, we needed to get something visual out in front of the public for Safe Place, I was like, well, what do you think about me directing a trailer from halfway around the world? And you guys doing this for me. And they loved the idea. They loved the subtlety of it, and they really, really knocked it out. And, I'm so happy. We probably wouldn't be where we are if not for that trailer.
It's pretty sweet trailer. How about the different like poster arts? First one was like, I like the both of them, but I like the first one where it was like the house logo with kind of like the silhouette of the guy. Who created that one, and who created the new one?
Well, I know that the most recent poster was created by Anthony Rouse. an amazing filmmaker and director, and all very multi-talented guy. And then prior to that, we've had everybody from Steve McGuinness to Arturo Portillo create the images. I mean, we've had. I like to keep fresh visuals in front of the public, and so I like to fluctuate different images. I just feel like it keeps something fresh, and so that's why we've gone from, sort of crazy and outlandish and hand drawn to minimalist, and then back to hand drawn, and then back to minimalist. I don't like to do the same thing. I don't want to bore people.
So you mentioned a few times about some negative stuff online. How do you deal with that? People that will either say, what are some of the negative things people have said, and how do you deal with that?
Well, I would say the biggest thing, which is more funny than anything, is people that will call the movie by the wrong title, and they will call it safe space or safe house or safe haven. That's pretty funny, and so that kind of stuff I just brush off my shoulder. When people man, you've been promoting this movie for so long, when are we actually going to see it? I just tell them, sorry, guy, movie making takes time. I would have loved nothing more than to have made this a year ago or 6 months ago. But obviously it wasn't meant to be. I want to be able to make the best possible product for the fans. So when it's out there, then you guys will have no doubt of the stuff that I'm claiming. I try and tell people that, I'm a very grounded and very humble person. I don't claim to be anything other than what I am. People will be like, oh man, you're the nicest, filmmaker. You're the great, but truth be told, I'm not a filmmaker yet. Truth be told, I haven't done anything to warrant the admiration or respect that I have gotten, except for the promoting of people that I do. I have yet to do that, but I'm doing that. And I hope to do that so I can show people and show the people the legitimacy. But with negativity, it comes overcoming it, people leave projects, people change their minds, things get pushed back all the time. It's just the nature of the business.
So, how long have you, I assume you've always been a horror movie fan?
Yes.
So, obviously Friday the 13th, but what were some of the other horror movies that made you become a horror movie fan while you're growing up?
Well, yeah, I have to start with Tom Holland's Fright Night. It's something that really shaped the entirety of me as a filmmaker. The fact that it was his first picture, and that he was really thrown a bone and given this monster project to execute, and he did so well with it. I mean, everything from the acting to the music to the effects. I mean, it was just a slam dunk, and it's a great movie if you're a kid or if you're an adult. I've watched it easily 100 times, and it never gets old any other time. I love the classic Italian giallos. I love Bava and Fulci and Argento. I love my classic Texas Chainsaw and the Halloween franchise and the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. And then I'm a big foreign buff. I love the German and the French horror and the South Korean horror. I could go on for days.
Yeah. Were your parents cool with you watching horror movies when you were young?
My father more so than my mother. My father had collections and collections of VHS tapes of stuff that he would either record off of HBO, or that he would go out and buy. And, it was that's how I really came to be identified with horror movies and how I grew up on them. And every once in a while he would sneak me into watching something, and that's how I really grew up with them. And the first credited horror movie I ever saw was actually Halloween 5. I had chicken pox. I was 3 years old, and I was in a hotel in Atlanta, and my grandfather was drunk and passed out as Halloween 5 was on Cinemax or HBO or something like that. And my parents came in to me just wide-eyed and watching this thing in the middle of the bed as he was passed out.
So have they been supportive of you wanted to make movies?
Well, my parents actually are both deceased.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. My father passed away a couple months ago, and then my mother passed away when I was 17. But yeah, I mean, they've always been supportive of any endeavor I've tried to take, and, as long as they always knew that I wanted to do something profound and to make people happy. And that's what I'm trying to do.
That's very good. I'm sorry I didn't know, that your parents passed away.
Oh, no. It's okay. You can't ask a question. You can't get an answer unless you ask a question.
You mentioned a few times about having a great group of people for Safe Place, and I know a lot of the cast members, but who are some of the other people that is part of the group to make the movie?
Well, we have Johnny McCobb, who is quite honestly a really good personal friend as much as a colleague. He helped produce both Don't Fuck in the Woods movies and Crepitus, and there's a new horror movie with Daisy Ridley that he's producing. And so, I mean, he's so knowledgeable in the realm of entertainment in the indie world. And he's also such a great friend that took a chance on me. When a lot of people said that he shouldn't because I was so inexperienced. And, a lot of people don't give people those chances. And so I'm really thankful for that. Besides that, I have my other producer, Ali Rivera, who's an amazing filmmaker and actress based out of LA. And she has been such an incredible help behind the scenes with, whether it be developing contracts or helping me on the financial side or helping me with the cast and crew and keeping them motivated and keeping them excited and keeping them hanging on. It's just such an incredible force because I've had a lot of people that have been involved in a creative aspect with Safe Place who have tarnished it and have sort of taken it down and prolonged it for the reasons that you're getting it so long after, I wanted to. And I mean, it's taken me a long time. And now that I am, I'm so thankful.
How did you come to know Johnny McCobb? Did you know him before he started work on Safe Place, or is that how you met him?
Well, I met him through, a lot of the people that I have either brought in my circle or that I choose to work with or that I have chosen to work with in the future is pretty much predominantly from word of mouth, because that's one of the things that you can count on in this industry. I don't just, go off of, hey, you should work with John Doe. Well, that's great. I'd love to work with John Doe, but I want to hear other people that work with John Doe. And Johnny's name was a name that continuously came up, and I knew he was a smart individual, and I knew that he was dedicated and that he stuck his neck out for the people that he represented. And so I reached out to him, and he did his homework on me and on the idea, and he jumped on, and he hasn't stopped since. And, he's gone through a lot of personal stuff, and, we've all gone through a lot of personal stuff, and we're just so thankful to get over the rainbow and to get this thing going.
Very cool. So, where can you find? How can you follow Safe Place online for people so they can see what's going on?
Well, you can go to facebook.com/safeplacethemovie, and from there you can find links to dozens upon dozens of articles and interviews. You can find the teaser trailer, pictures of the cast, links to the IMDb, just so much stuff.
Very cool. I see. Are you guys gonna have a fundraiser for a crowdfunding thing for Safe Place?
Did you ask, did we or are we?
Oh, well, either or I guess.
We did have a crowdfunding campaign for Safe Place. And one of the things that I was unfortunately very vocal about, but I felt as though it was very pertinent, was we had a producer who is no longer attached to the project that unfortunately took every bit of the funding from the crowdfunding campaign.
Oh, wow.
And ran with it. Unfortunately, until Safe Place is complete, I cannot be vocal about this individual, which sucks. Because I love nothing more. Because at the end of the day, it wasn't as much that he took from me, it's that he took from everybody that wanted to contribute.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the thing that bugs me, because you can take from me, but the people that are supporting me, it really hurt. But things are up though. We are thinking about doing a crowdfunding for The Dark Heart of Jason Voorhees. Nothing is set in stone yet, but we realize that the fan interaction and the fan response about the project has been so large that we really want to find a way to utilize and to involve the fans and to make sure that they know that they are included in this.
How do you do that?
Well, it's creating things for the fans to do and and getting the fans direct advice. What do they want to see if we were to do a crowdfunding? What do they want to see in the documentary? What questions do they want answered? It's letting everybody know that they are as much a part of this as us. I use the terminology for fans by fans a lot for a reason. And it's because, I'm no more of a fan than anybody else. I continuously tell people, I didn't go to business school. I did not go to film school. I did not graduate college. I was not brought up with wealth. I do not have current wealth. I am no different than anybody else. I'm simply somebody trying to struggle and trying to survive and trying to do something that's prominent. And, I just, it's all about the fans for me. And if you stop listening to the fans, which is what a lot of people tend to do once they get to a certain point, then they start losing their respect, and that's not what I want to do.
So if you haven't gone to film school, what makes you think you can make a good movie?
Because I listen, because I'm a lifelong horror fan, because I have an eye, because I know what it means to be scared. I know how to utilize fear and to turn it around and to invoke a response out of the viewer. I know what talent it makes to make a great picture. I know the people, not just the talent in front of the camera, but the talent behind the camera in order to make a good picture. That's why I make sure that majority of the people that you have in front of you are people that everybody knows. It's much easier to sell a picture when it's people that you know. It's like when you go to a family reunion, you always hope that at the end of the day, that there'll be somebody there, because it might make it a little bit more bearable. And, like I said, I don't have anything to back me up. I have my conception of the trailer. I have certain things that I have teased the public with, But at the end of the day, you know, I've told people before, you know, I'm a very blunt person, and it's put up or shut up time. A lot of people aren't going to be hanging on for a whole lot longer unless I get something out. And I realize that. I'm a big enough man to know that. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm bringing this thing full force to everybody so I can show them, you know, don't thank me. Don't give me any gratification. Don't give me any pats on the back until this is done. When it's done, all the praise is welcome. But just wait. I tell everybody, just wait. You know, it's a much bigger. It started out as this very tiny calf, this very baby project, and it's this big thing now. You know, with a lot of people are invested in it, and in more ways than one. You know.
So, having both those projects, the Final Friday documentary and the feature film, well, both feature films. One's feature documentary, one's a feature film. How are you going to be able to work on both? Or are you going to work on the one after you finish Safe Place, or are you going to be working on them at the same time?
Well, the plan is immediately after I'm done shooting Safe Place, pretty much immediately after I'm done shooting Safe Place, to go to start hardcore pre-production on the documentary, which will be done over on the West Coast. And after that, I have a couple other things that I'm dipping my hands in for the last part of the year. And those are going to be really exciting. And, you know, we're hoping that, you know, we can get Safe Place, you know, done by the end of the year as far as, you know, shot and cut and finished product out to the public. And then the same for the documentary. Because the documentary is going to take a very, very much less time and resources to execute than Safe Place. Yeah. Believe it or not.
Are you planning on doing your own editing on Safe Place?
No. I'm planning on. Obviously I'm going to be there. You know. But I'm not as proficient with the technical side, and so I want to make sure that I have the best people involved on the technical side. So, like I said earlier, so I have the best product out there. You know, I'm not taking that. You know, I want. That's why I have, you know, the best effects artists in this part of the country in my mind. That's why I have, you know, the best editing, the best set design. You know, I want this to look like, you know, even if it's only $250,000 movie, I want this to look like $1 million movie, because I feel like everybody deserves that.
I said you got effects artists. Are you gonna? Is there gonna be a lot of gore in a Safe Place?
Yeah, we're using 200% practical effects, and yeah, I mean, it's going to be a very violent and visceral movie. We're not going to hold back. A lot of very realistic and a lot of very realistic violence is in store. So you know, I don't shy away from the gore because I feel it's real. You know.
You mentioned you had distribution. Will that be like video on demand or Blu-rays, DVDs? Will any theatrical releases?
I wish I can say. Right now, I will tell you that Safe Place is going to be available on a plethora of different venues once it gets released. And all I can speak to as far as the physical and specific ways that it's going to be distributed, I'll just have to say you guys got to stay tuned.
Right. Well, that's cool. I assume you would skip like festivals since you already have distribution.
Yeah, I mean, there's a possibility that you know, I've spoken in detail and in frequency about bringing Safe Place on the road in at least a temporary capacity of doing some private screenings, like maybe on the road, you know, maybe not private, but some, you know, smaller public screenings just to sort of, almost maybe like some pop-up screenings, but nothing's, really set in stone yet. We're sort of playing with some different ideas, but we're probably going to sit out the festival circuit, at least domestically.
Mm-hmm. Have you yourself gone to many festivals or conventions?
I have not. I am waiting to bust my proverbial cherry, which I'm very excited about. Hopefully soon, because we're trying to desperately work on some sort of convention aspect for the documentary, where we can hopefully go to a convention and involve the fans physically and get them involved on tape. That'll be really exciting.
Yeah. What is it like to have a lot of this? Because a lot of horror websites have supported the movie, like Pop Horror, and what's it like to get all this, people excited about your movie?
It's weird, and that's me being honest. I am a guy who predominantly, through most of my life, grew up in the restaurant industry. I still have my food sanitation certification valid. It's weird because I used to be a very shy, very close-knit individual who didn't talk to a lot of people. And I came out of my shell, man. And I started talking to people, and I started networking, and I started selling myself and selling my products, or maybe not my products, my brand. And, people are believing in me. And that's something that I haven't had a lot of my life. And so it's really important to me, the image that I project and the feedback that I get. And so it's incredibly humbling.
Mm-hmm. And I would think also there's going to be some pressure there, to get the product out there, and it's something that's worthwhile. Oh yeah,
I mean there's always pressure. Like I mentioned, there's not a day that goes by generally where people don't ask me where Safe Place is.
Now, don't give them away, obviously, but I assume, do you have some ideas in your mind even before you started to write Safe Place of interesting murders and kills and gore scenes?
Oh yeah, there were a lot of ideas that I wanted to execute. That weren't possible, or things that were just too hard to do. And, there were some things that were early on in some inceptions of the script that I wanted to do that were really wild, but just weren't cost effective. And, it's just, I really wanted to show the brutality of the movie and the brutality of what was going on. And so conceptualizing some of this stuff was just really cool. And, I think people are going to like it. I don't hold back anything.
Yeah, I know on your Facebook page itself, you ask a lot of questions from people, like most underrated movie and all these different questions. But what are some of the weird responses you've gotten that surprised you from different questions you've asked?
Well, actually, I'll tell you sort of. Okay, so one of the type of posts that I do, interestingly enough, is I'll post a classic poster, and I'll be like, who remembers this movie, or something. And recently, one of the things that happened is I had made a post about, of all things, Mannequin, the romantic 80s comedy Mannequin. And I swear there were in a horror community to where, I know the base of friends that I have, but I tell you, that was the most popular post that week, with people posting GIFs of Massage Taylor. I mean, it was crazy. The response that it got. And so that was really weird. And then every once in a while, I can't really think. I post so many damn questions. It's hard to think of any specific answers. The posts are easier to come up with in my memory than the answers.
Uh-huh. And by the way, what do you think? Are you looking forward to WrestleMania this Sunday?
I am. I'm cautiously optimistic about some things. I was just watching a really good YouTube channel to follow. Is called What Culture Wrestling. It's a British troupe of guys that they make list videos and stuff pertaining to WWE, and they're really good. But they just released a video that was 8 shocks that could happen at WrestleMania, and one of them was that Roman Reigns could in fact lose, and that it could be all a work. The whole Lesnar going to UFC thing, or that WWE at the last possible minute will offer him an extended payout with him keeping the championship. I don't really think that's going to happen. I unfortunately think they're going to put the belt on Roman Reigns regardless. For the rest of the card, I'm pretty optimistic, though. I have a feeling that we're going to get some surprises. I feel like the WWE is just sort of holding down Braun Strowman by putting him in a tag team championship match. There was a good article I was reading on that, regardless of what happens with that, he'll end up getting paired with a smaller guy, and he'll end up feuding with that person in the future. They'll end up losing the tag team titles, and then he'll end up feuding with that individual, and then nobody will really benefit anything from it. And it's just going to be this revolving door. And I think it's really weird the way they're handling him, but that's just me. But I mean, overall, I'm pretty excited, between the Rousey Angle fight, Daniel Bryan returning to the ring, the Asuka and Charlotte fight. There's a lot of potential. I really hope that there's some sort of curveball thrown in the World Championship match.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too. WrestleMania is always a good time. Sometimes it's better than others, but it's still WrestleMania. But it's cool that Daniel Bryan's coming back. I didn't think we'd see him back in WWE. That really had me excited to see him come back.
Oh yeah, much less in time for WrestleMania.
Yeah. Have you ever been to a WrestleMania?
I have not. I have not even been to a wrestling show. I'm so bad.
Oh, it's very fun to be there live. Now it's pretty costly, I think, to go to WrestleMania. But I went to a couple back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always like him. Who's your favorite wrestler?
Right now, I would have to say it's Finn Balor. I've been a Prince Devitt supporter ever since he was in NJPW. So I just feel like he's not being handled. But they never handle anybody from the indie scene correctly.
Troy's a big fan of New Japan.
I am. I definitely am.
Yeah.
Los Ingobernables for me.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of it's just there was another good article that was talking about that Vince McMahon just needs to retire and let Triple H run things, because I swear if we saw an NXT product on Raw and SmackDown, that's how it would work.
I'm looking for the NXT forward to the NXT show too. That'll be before WrestleMania.
Oh yeah. Especially looking forward to the North American Championship ladder match, because I love Ricochet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's gonna be good. So, who's your favorite? How long have you been watching wrestling?
I've been watching wrestling since the Attitude Era. I'd like to say that I was watching before then. I probably watched a little bit before then, because I know that as a child I was a big Hulkamania fan. So there's a chance that I was watching it prior. But predominantly it was in the Attitude Era.
Yeah. Who were some of your favorites in that time?
Oh, The Rock, the Hardys, the Brood. Stone Cold, The Undertaker, all that jazz.
Yeah. Well, bring back to horror movies. Who would you pick as the best wrestler turned actor?
Best wrestler turned actor. Oh, that is a toughie. I would probably have to say a toss up between The Rock and Batista, because The Rock has had a lot of great movies, but he's also had some really bad ones, and then Batista. With Guardians of the Galaxy, that's Drax is his role, I swear.
Yeah. And he was good in the new Blade Runner, too, I thought.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I completely forgot that.
Yeah.
And as a James Bond villain, too. I liked him in that.
Yeah. He picks his roles well, I think.
Yeah.
But Drax is definitely one that really showcased him perfectly, I think. And I always got to pick Piper, though, for How They Live. It's probably my favorite wrestler turned actor role, but
for me it would be that one, or maybe Andre in The Princess Bride. He's perfect in that too.
That's true.
I'm looking forward to the Andre the Giant documentary. That looks great, coming on HBO.
Oh yeah, I think that'll be really good. And who knows if Hulk Hogan's coming back? I've heard rumbling.
I'd like to see it. I like to see Hulk Hogan back one last time at WrestleMania. It's fun.
Yeah.
So, why not? Well, what are some of the documentaries that you like that kind of inspired the documentary you'll be making?
Well, I love the Friday the 13th documentaries. Everything from Crystal Lake Memories to His Name is Jason. I love You're So Cool, Brewster. The story of Fright Night and Never Sleep Again. The Elm Street Legacy. The rise and fall of the slasher film. There's so many really good ones out there.
Yeah, definitely. Especially the last few years is when a lot of those the really great horror movie documentaries have come out.
Oh yeah.
The Nightmare on Elm Street one's like 10 hours long or something. Maybe not quite that long.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Well, again, you mentioned where you can find you, and you can find Safe Place, and there's a Facebook page too for the documentary, right?
Yes, it's Facebook.com/The Dark Heart of Jason Voorhees, and you go to that, and you can keep up to date with all the stuff on that, and get all the latest updates, and stay tuned because some big stuff's coming.
Very cool. Well, I appreciate you coming on. It's been a lot of fun to talk to you.
Yeah.
Oh man, I've loved coming on.
Yeah, and when things progress, you're always welcome to come back.
Absolutely,
man. I would love to.
Very cool. All right, we're gonna go to a break here. We'll be back momentarily.
Hey guys, this is Bill Overs Jr., and you're listening to Without Your Head Horror, the station of decapitation. Keep your head. Stay tuned.